Hello, everyone. We are here today with John Antonio, and he is an introvert who lived a quiet life for 15 years in Catholic seminaries and monasteries around the world, learning to meditate and live without. Following a life moment, he came back to the big world as a social adventurer, passionately exploring new ways to build more meaningful connections with the people around him. Hi, John.
Hi, Willa.
Welcome. Quite a bio.
Thank you. Yeah, you did a great job reading it.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So we're here with John today, and he's going to introduce his new book, Always Say Hi. And this is a book about spontaneous encounters for introverts. Use your introvert gifts to become comfortably social and meet more people in all your usual and unusual places. This sounds amazing, John. What made you write this book?
Well, I started out life very shy and went through that high school and college and post-college being somebody who was often very shy, didn't like talking to people in big groups. And it came to a point where, though, I had most of the things I really wanted in life, and I had some time and energy and resources to say, like, what do I want now from life? I have a job, I have a good job, I have the health insurance and all those things. And I said, what do I want now? And what I wanted, the only thing I could think of was to have more fun with people and have better experiences, amazing experiences with people. And so in order to do that, though, I had to conquer and master and use the introvertness and shyness. So I went on a somewhat of a program of self-change and made that happen. That's what the book's about.
That's beautiful. And in the book, I'm going to read a quote, one of your quotes. Rejection conditions so many of our opportunities to be social. I was an introvert who had a fear of rejection. I do not think every introvert has a fear of rejection, nor all people who fear rejection are introverts. I do, though, think that introverts can be more susceptible to letting rejection condition or limit their social experiences. One social experience I wanted was to be able to meet people anywhere, anytime. The only problem was my fear of rejection standing in the way. I want to ask you one of the questions. Is it really fear of rejection that keeps you from meeting people? Aren't introverts naturally reserved?
I think we naturally need some recharge time, but one experience that kind of opened my eyes about this was I was thinking back, and I went to boarding school, and my older brother was in boarding school, and I remember when I went to go visit him in boarding school, I was just this fun, loving, like, guy who was just talking to everybody and having a great time because I was visiting him. Later, he graduated, and I went to the same boarding school, and I was suddenly extremely introverted. And I was like, why is that? And it was because I knew when I was with him that I was welcome, that I was comfortable. I had a, so to say, a sponsor. I wasn't just by myself. But then when I went to the school myself after he graduated and left, I was introverted, and I really think that it had to do with that feeling of wondering, am I going to be rejected, or am I going to be accepted? Are there people here that want to talk to me? So I think that, and you can think for yourself too, or anyone, like, if you were to walk in a room and you say, oh, but I'm tired, I don't want to walk in that room and talk to those people. Imagine if everybody in that room was dying to speak to you, and they were just going to give you affirmation for the next hour and just ask about you and bond with you. I mean, your tiredness and that introvertness, I think, would somewhat disappear. It does, because you're walking into a place where rejection is not an issue. And so I do think that, and I know that introverts, I still need my downtime, my alone time. But I also think that if we could get rid of that possibility of rejection, or not let that feeling of social rejection bother us, that we'd enjoy so many more social experiences.
And that's interesting that you bring all that up, because I would never consider myself an introvert, but I fear rejection. A lot of people I talk to fear rejection. And it's interesting that you share the experience with your brother, because you talk about that in the book too, about how you kind of went to school after him and people learned that you weren't your brother. So knowing that a lot of people experience this fear of rejection, would you say your book is only for introverts?
Well, it's like, is a keto cookbook only for people who are on the keto diet? And it's like, no, like anybody can eat out of that cookbook, and a lot of the recipes actually taste pretty amazing. Just the cheese, the bacon, and all of that. So yeah, anyone can certainly read it. I certainly wrote it with my younger self in mind, my 16-year-old self, and others who perhaps out there are or were like me, much more shy and reserved in many social circles. So anyone can read it, and I'm sure get something out of it. But I definitely wrote it with introverts in mind, to harness their superpower, so to say.
Say that again. What's the superpower?
To harness the introvert's superpower.
Yes,
You
the
know, we all
introvert.
have I feel like everyone has a superpower, something that is A, powerful, and then B, comes very naturally to them. It's not a superpower if it doesn't come naturally to you. If Spider-Man needs to sit there and actually spin a web for a web to come out, work hard at it, it's not a superpower, it's just something that comes out of you. And introverts do, I believe, have powers that very powerful habits that come naturally, and those can be used.
Can I ask you to expand on that? What comes naturally to you?
Well, think about it. Introverts, they're often accused of, or described as thinking. And thinking gets in the way of social experiences. And I remember being, when I was younger, and like on a soccer team, and taking the bus to go play soccer, that I was pretty quiet in the bus, because I was always thinking about stuff. It was like, well, which bank am I going to rob to go to college, or things like that, or someone I'd seen earlier, or a girl I'd seen earlier. You always had things on your mind. So thought though is powerful. Thought can be a superpower if you know how to harness it. And that's one of the things I touch upon in the book, is harnessing thought and having control over thought. I think that if an introvert can control his thoughts, that he is capable of almost anything, especially at least capable of going from shy to social.
When you were talking about that in your book, one of my favorite views, when you were talking about all the different views, are when you described your changing your thoughts. And one thing you said is, I am a billionaire with love to spare. And that was the new thought. And you described it as, you will give social love to everyone you see. That's a beautiful way to reframe your thought. Is that something that took you a while to come to that new thought?
Yeah, it did. I think that in my younger days, I would walk into a social experience and kind of hoping, kind of basically judging the experience on how much love I received. And so you'd select to go certain places. You select to go to this group or not this group, because you already knew, you'd been there, that, hey, people there love me, and I'm going to get some nice attention, have some great conversations. But as I grew in my experiences, I realized that the truly social person, if you want to become social, it's just about how much you can give. And as long as you're okay giving, like your experiences will be amazing. You'll have great experiences, and you will enter social situations that you didn't think you'd ever be able to feel comfortable in. If you can just switch that mindset and say, I don't need anything, I'm just here to give.
I
And
love
then
it.
if you're just basically a billionaire of love, then there are no limits to what you can achieve socially speaking.
That's so beautiful. So that leads me to the next question, because you talk about rejection a lot. Do you think that only introverts are afraid of rejection?
I don't think only introverts are, but I'm not sure how afraid of rejection extroverts are because I'm not one. So I think that I'm sure that it touches upon everybody in some form or another. And it touches us at work, it touches us in business, in the corporate life, it touches us maybe in our own family, in your own spouse, or with your kids feeling rejected by them, or with friends, acquaintances. I mean, it's this general feeling that I try to address in the book of not being afraid of not getting what you're hoping to get. And so that's I think that it touches everybody. I do think though that introverts can have a harder time at it because we think so much, and we normally don't think that like the best possibility is going to happen. Like you think of all these scenarios, but then like it's usually like the worst scenario that comes up. Like I'm going to end up in jail if I talk to someone, or they're going to spread a rumor that I'm a weirdo or something, and everyone's going to think I'm a weirdo because I went up and said hi to somebody. And you think about these off, like sort of negative scenarios. And then after the experience, like if you do have an embarrassing experience, you just play it on a loop over and over again until you're falling asleep or you can't sleep because you're like, oh, that was so embarrassing what I said to somebody, at the party last night, and what you're really doing was just talking from the top of your head because you had a drink or two, but who cares? Like that's you. So yeah, introverts do, I think, have a bit of a tougher time perhaps because we live in that world of thought, and it's not the best thoughts either.
It's interesting that you were saying playing the loop and talking to people, because I want to read something else that really touched me in your book. You said, in my shy days, my friend Jimmy and I used to go out to nightclubs in the evening and talk to people. I don't think we were even trying to make friends. We just wanted to live unafraid of the world. And that's kind of what you were just describing. You're going out and you're getting out of your shell and you're talking to people. Would you like to expand on that and how that experience changed you?
Yeah, it's, I guess you could say I started the journey a little bit hoping to have better and more abundant social experiences. But then as I grew, I realized that that wasn't really what it was about. It was just about me and how I wanted to show up to the world. And whether I make friends or not, or people say hi back or whatever, none of that really matters. What it's really all about is, how do I want to show up to the world? And do I want to show up afraid, or do I want to show up unafraid? And the rest, whatever the embarrassment, or if you can call it rejection or awkward situations, or the love or the acceptance or the new friends you make, all that's kind of secondary. And I think that who we are is our actions define who we are, and not the results that follow.
I like that. It's interesting. You say some really amazing things. I'm going to read something else that really touched me in your book. My ideas got to change. Life took a turn for the better when I analyzed, critiqued, and reformed my own worldview. I had to change the way I saw things. I had a mediocre way of thinking, of the world, and so the world gave me mediocre results. And you talk about this when you went out into the social experiments, when you said I'd show up to a social event and people would ask how I'm doing, and I would say I'm doing okay, which is the sorriest response ever for a piece of God's creation in the prime of his life. With the world of possibilities before him, I'm living a mediocre, so life gave me mediocre results. So now, what is your new response, and how has the new response shifted your experiences?
Yes, so there are new responses. I think that if you're anything less than awesome at any moment of the day, then that is not acceptable. So I don't mean that in the sense of like, now you're going to be sad because you're not awesome. It just means that you need to recreate your thoughts and create that feeling, because all we have is right now, and life is short, and there's no time to feel sorry for yourself or feel alone or sad and things like that, or just feel okay. Like who wants to be just okay or just good, And
Yeah.
So, and I realized that is also something that you create within, and the more you can create that within and show up to the world tremendous, awesome, or epic, then the world is going to, I don't know if embrace is the right word, but at least take your hand, because that's what the world needs. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of good, okay people out there, but if you can cross the border and be epic, awesome, or tremendous, then that's what the world is. It's just what it's what it needs. Yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Oh no.
And so we met at the Igniting Souls book conference. And to all the people that are thinking about reading your book, and to introverts, it's important that they understand the reason this interview is happening and that you and I met is because you had the courage to get up on a stage in front of over 500 people and
yes.
ask our chief igniter, Carrie, from Igniting Souls for help. Like, how amazing was that experience? And was that something you would have done in your earlier days?
No, it's not. And I think that I kind of live by, like, if there was a stage and you went and you didn't end up on it, like, you wasted your time. And so it's kind of become a habit of mine to, go see a live band or something and try to get on stage, or even go to a wedding and dance on stage with the wedding singer, or find, appropriate ways, of course, of doing things like that. And, because it just feels amazing to do something scary. And that's why I believe, like, saying hi to people it could make your life better, because we all need something scary and unpredictable to happen during the day, and it feels amazing. So yeah, Carrie was, he made that announcement, hey, he wants to get free coaching on stage. Basically go up and ask a question, help you need, and have somebody either tell you what's wrong with you on stage, or tell you what you're doing wrong, with the free live coaching on stage as an author. And so I started doing jumping jacks to get his attention amongst all those people. And I was doing jumping jacks in the back, shouting, like, pick me. And then he picked me, and then I was up there, and I had to think of what to say, and what I was working on, just was honest and said what I needed, and got some great coaching. And yeah, so I met so many people afterwards as well, because people were like, I felt like there was a crowd there who were, like, waiting for this book to come out or something, and, like, mainly introverts. And when I was up there on stage, said, hey, I'm writing this book and I need help with this and that. And it's a book for introverts, and it's called Always Say Hi. And then afterwards, people started coming up to me and saying, hey, I want to collaborate with you on your book. I want to be on your book team, on your book launch team. I want to I want to work with you and be a part of this experience of bringing a book like this into the world.
That's so beautiful. So yeah, all of you introverts out there, that's what this book can help you with. So who is this book for?
So this book was for my 16-year-old self, but this book is for anyone who wants to have funner, more enjoyable social experiences, especially somebody coming from a shy background. I mean, if you like look up the introvert hashtag on Instagram, it's all people who are like, I'm staying in because I can't deal with people, or no, I don't want to go to your party. I'm going to enjoy time with my dog on the sofa and things like that. But you can turn those experiences into pretty fun experiences if you work on some life habits and change your mindset, reprogram a few things, and you can turn all that around. So, I mean, being on the couch with the dog is awesome too, and we all need that, but maybe showing up is awesome. So if you can make it awesome, why not? So anyone who wants that experience can read the book.
What was your most awesome experience?
My most awesome experience was, I guess, in this whole journey is I traveled. I took a trip to Europe, and I was alone most of the time. And I just told myself, like, every city I go to, I'm going to find somebody there to do something fun with. So I was in Croatia and found somebody to do something. I was in Dubrovnik, found somebody else and to do something fun with. Paris. I was traveling all these cities, and I had the most amazing time ever because, I had all the benefits of being alone, but then also all the benefits of having some great travel buddies. And I still remember them. And the only way I had met them was just on the street and go up to somebody and say, hi, and like, what are you up to? Do you want to go see the Eiffel Tower with me? And then
Cool.
she responds like, sure, yeah, let's go do it. And you'd be surprised at how many people out there too are just looking for something fun to do and maybe don't have anyone to do it with. So that was a pretty awesome experience in my whole journey was doing that. But I've met a lot of other amazing people. And the more you live this journey, like the more amazing everybody becomes. And now it's like, no, like, because you start to see that everybody's so special and so has so much within them that you'd overlook before because you were just maybe caught up too much in yourself. So, yeah, that was an amazing experience, but lots of others as well in my own city that I've had. So,
you want to share some in your own city? If introverts are looking out for ways to get out and do this, do you want to share some easy things to do in your own city?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to start building a life where you love doing what you do. You're doing what you love doing. I mean, if you love playing tennis, then it's like play tennis. I love boxing, so I box a lot and training a lot. But first thing is to do things that you love doing, and then you already have a life where where you have that adventure that you're a part of and that you're the manager of. And then as well, it's just like you can say hi to people anywhere, like the coffee shop or even out for a walk in the park or wherever. And if you find somebody that wants to do those things with you, rock climb or something, just say, hey, why don't you join me? Like, I'm going to go rock climbing. Just the other day, I met someone at a train station waiting for the train. And great little conversation. And that evening I was having a World Series watch party. So I said, hey, come to my World Series watch party. And so you just invite people, you run into people and you invite them on your journey. There's this interesting passage actually in the gospel where this parable where Jesus is there and he he tells this parable about this like king who has this big banquet, and nobody will come. Like none of his friends will come, and everyone's like giving excuses, like I'm not going to come to your dinner. It's like a wedding feast, you know. And then so what does he do? He sends his servants out and he says, just go out into the streets and get whoever, you know. I think that's what you need to do sometimes. Maybe like your friend circle, your acquaintance circle, or whatever. Like they don't, you know, they can't always show up, or maybe they don't want to show up. It's like expand your horizons, and he does that, and he fills his banquet with just people from the streets. But you know, first of all, though, looking at that is he had a banquet, and it was going to go on regardless of who showed up. He had a party going, and it was going to happen regardless of who showed up. And that's kind of how you got to live life. It's like, you know, I'm going to have a party going. You can come, you can not. And then just expand your horizon a little bit. Invite everybody. Go out into the streets and invite people. So, I mean, not indiscriminately. I don't want anyone here to get like murdered or anything later. But you will know, yeah. So
what I take from what you just described and how you're living your life is if you believe in the impossible will happen. If you don't have an expectation of who the parties are or what it's going to look like, but you just make the choice to go out and say it's going to be a great day, then you find people to have a great day with.
Yeah, it's like you're, and this is something that I still work on daily. I'm certainly not the shaman of this or anything of mind domination, but you need to dominate your mind. You need to control it. Sometimes you just need to turn it off, and you know, often just turn it off and just live in the moment. And then if it is on, like make sure that the stuff that's going through there is good stuff, because everything starts with your mind. And I hadn't always lived like that. I'd always lived with by an ethic of everything starts with hard work and action and taking control and getting things done. But all that is like all secondary compared to the power of the mind. It's like everything that's really awesome that's going to happen starts with the mind. And if it's not there, it's just not going to happen.
I love it. So how can people support your book launch and support you, and where can they find you?
So yeah, I have a website up, alwayssayhi.com. And if you want to get like the pre-notices and everything when the book's coming out, which will be February, and stay in touch with the community, you can subscribe to that and get notifications. Alwayssayhi.com. Also on Facebook, if anyone wants to connect and become part of a launch team that would help bring this book to all the shy people or not so shy people out there who just want to improve their social experiences. Always Say Hi on Instagram. Also, we're there. I'm separated by dots. Always dots say hi dot. So those are a few ways. Yeah.
Do you have any last words you would like to say, or any words of wisdom to add?
Yeah, and I say this with all reality and humility. It's that a book rarely just changes your life. You know, it gives you the knowledge to know what you have to do, but really the hard work also happens by doing it and being surrounded by or teaming up with people who are just going to force you down that path. I've rarely seen an instance where someone is like, I read this book and then I just changed everything all by myself. Like the next day I did everything differently. So I definitely believe that this book has ideas that will help people, but as well, it'll take more than that. It'll take your team, like those people who want to go down that journey with you or encourage you along it and continue to inspire you or mentor you. That will really change your life. It's people that change lives. But books.
Is that something that you offer?
Yes. Mentoring and for people who want a closer experience of conquering the shyness, for sure.
Awesome. So contact John if you're interested in supporting his book, learning more about how you can work with him, learning more about Always Say Hi, the book that will help you reprogram your mind to begin conquering shyness or fear of rejection, adjust your daily routine to conquer stranger anxiety and stop fearing no, and build a lifestyle where you enjoy people more and reveal your hidden social genius. I love that. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate this. And again, you can find John at Always Say Hi.
Thanks, Willow. It was a tremendous experience.
Thank you.